having multiples is just a different type of challenge that no one quite understands unless you go through it. Just like no one understands motherhood unless they're a mom, no one understands all the different nuances and challenges that come with having multiples. And for me, I'm so thankful that I had twins first. Do you have multiples? Twins, triplets, maybe even quadruplets or more? Well, this month we are doing Grateful for More to Love. So, all of us moms on every Saturday of November, we all have twins or more. And I'm just so thrilled to be able to do this series this month because being a mom is special, of course. And having multiples is just a different type of challenge that no one quite understands unless you go through it. Just like no one understands motherhood unless they're a mom, no one understands all the different nuances and challenges that come with having multiples. And for me, I've always said, I'm so thankful that I had twins first. My first pregnancy, I had twins. So I don't know anything different. I don't know what it's like to have children first and then have twins. So I was so excited to be able to find moms who have that experience to be able to offer an insight into that life if you are pregnant right now, or if you just want someone who gets you, if you just want to listen to someone who is possibly going through what you're going through and you don't feel so alone. That is what this month is for. So we do have moms that only have twins. We have mom that had twins after already having children. And just the stories are amazing. Parents in general are just so resilient in terms of the things that we go through and the things that we have to handle. And some of these stories are mind blowing to say the least. And I definitely think that this is something that you want to tune into. There's 5 Saturdays in November. So that means 4 moms, 5 including myself, that are coming on to share their stories. Of course, Erica, if you didn't catch her episodes. She did part 1 and part 2. She helped us with better understanding potty training. She also has multiples, if you've heard that story or not. If you haven't, I definitely recommend you listening to that because she had multiples first and then had a son. So she has twin daughters and then a son. And she did EC, elimination communication, with her son. And she, of course, potty trained her twins. She gives kind of that understanding of how to balance that. And she also gives the perspective of not doing elimination communication with her twins, but doing it with her singleton. And that is also a really cool perspective. I didn't necessarily promote that she was a twin mom because it wasn't a part of this November series, but she also does give that perspective in those episodes. So definitely tune into those as well. If you're at that point of potty training your twins, she gives some awesome tips. Or if you want to start elimination communication with your twins, she also gives tips on that. Even though she didn't really do it with her twins, she works with moms with twins and she's able to help them navigate early potty training or elimination communication. Definitely tune into those if you haven't already. She drops so many gems. So I definitely just wanted to touch upon that. So, this is Mothering Holistically, a podcast amplifying everyday moms' voices, creating a relatable space to share stories, practical tips, and inspiration. We empower moms to embrace every season of motherhood with confidence and pursue their dreams with resilience. I'm your host, Kaylee Berlini, a mama finding balance in motherhood because balance is key when mothering holistically. So no matter where you are connecting with us from, please follow or subscribe and give us feedback as we continue to make this podcast motivational and helpful for you all. So again, like I said, today is the start of Grateful for More to Love. Of course, that plays into November. We're all thankful, November, of course, Thanksgiving and things like that. So that kind of inspired this. But I'm just sharing a little bit more in depth with specifically being a mom of multiples. Again, I don't have a different perspective. So like I said, I'm grateful that I do have moms that do, but my perspective is just from only having twins. So if that's you, this show is definitely for you. So becoming a mom is amazing. It's amazing. Before that, though, when you're pregnant, especially as a first time, you're dealing with first time pregnancy, it's scary. It's exciting, but it's scary because it was my first pregnancy. Just some things due to me being African American, there's things that are concerning when you are high risk due to the twins, and then also high risk for other things that are not only common when you're pregnant with twins, but then just being African American, they're common. So one being high blood pressure. They were always concerned that I was possibly going to have high blood pressure, so I had to take aspirin every day. They were also concerned that I would get gestational diabetes, not only because I'm African American, but then also just because of having twins. All of that does run in my family, so then it was just this other risk. So it's just so many things that are scary in regard to being just pregnant with twins and then pregnant for the first time in general. So luckily, thank God for me, I didn't experience any of that. I did not have high blood pressure. I did not have gestational diabetes. Honestly, I didn't really experience and have a negative experience. The only thing was my cervix started to open prematurely. I was basically taken off work. For those of you that do or do not know, before having my children, I turned a school bus into a spa. So I'm a massage therapist and esthetician, and just being on my feet and things like that was just not conducive because of my cervix already starting to open prematurely. And it was starting to happen at 4 months. One of the moms, a little sneak peek, one of the moms in this month's series is an OBGYN, and she's also a mom of twins. So she definitely also gives a really good perspective into being a mom of multiples, also being a caretaker, a healthcare professional in treating moms of multiples. So she does give some background health wise about why certain things happen and things like that. Anywho, I did experience having my cervix opening and things like that. And then, of course, just a lot of pain in my lower back. A lot of, towards the end, it was hard to walk long distances. They didn't recommend that anyways, but that was also something that I was experiencing. And with my cervix opening, um, it was just some scares that I had to experience. And I'm pretty sure, regardless if you're a mom of multiples, just a mom in general, anything when the doctors feel concerned as you're pregnant, it's scary. I was just going through all that. So then my daughter, baby A, which is the baby closest to the cervix, which would be the first baby out, she never wanted to move. So she was sitting on my cervix, and she, of course, was breech. And if baby A is breech, you have to go in for a C-section. So I was scheduled for a C-section, but my water broke 2 weeks early, I believe. So when I went in for the C-section, it was just scary. All you want is for your babies to be okay. And I really touched upon this in earlier episodes, a lot of my early solo episodes. I'm not going to get too deep into it. All in all, everything for me turned out great. I'm so grateful to God. He answered my prayers. We did not have to go to the NICU or experience anything like that. If there's a possibility that you, let's say, have identical twins where they're in the same sac, things like that, and you're pregnant in that regard, again, we do have a mom that is coming on here to share that experience and to also share her NICU experience. So, of course, be sensitive to that. I'll be being sensitive to that, but she's going to be sharing that. So, if you are concerned, she has a very enlightening story, a very educational story to help you navigate that. And I'm not going to speak too much on that because I didn't live that. So she will be sharing that. So, yeah, I also had a very successful breastfeeding journey. I was able to nurse my daughters from day one, and we just finished at 21 months. So, about 2 months ago now. So, I shared that in previous episodes. So, that's just a little background to my experience of being pregnant and having the girls and caring for them in that way. I did want to also say today we are launching the Patreon. And also on the Patreon, I'll be sharing, you can see exclusive content where I go more in depth into my breastfeeding journey. So if you want a little bit more raw, unfiltered experience, please go to our Patreon and check that out because I'm a little bit more reserved on YouTube, but I definitely want there to be a more open space on Patreon. So I will be on there. You can go find my unfiltered version of my breastfeeding story and my breastfeeding journey. If you're interested in that, definitely check that out. I really appreciate it. Of course, all proceeds go to just furthering this podcast and just helping it be better for you. And of course, it's a community and I want to chat and connect on a deeper level. So I'm really excited to be offering that Patreon. Please work with me, especially in the beginning. I've never done a Patreon before. And so I'm learning the ins and outs, but it launches today. And I'm really, really excited about that. So, like I said, having children is a blessing. But on the other side of that, there's just so much pressure. I don't want to keep giving too many bloops or sneak peeks into the conversation, but in regard to caring for multiples, there's just so many things that you don't expect. For me personally, I didn't know any different. So I was just doing things that I thought were right. And so Dr. Christy, which is going to be one of the featured guests this month, she is an OBGYN and she had children prior to having her twins. So she gives a very awesome perspective in regard to that. And then also being an OBGYN. So I was just so relieved to know that some of the things that I did to care for my daughters, like co-sleeping, is something that she was like, I was totally against with my first two. But when I had my twins, a lot of the rules went out the window. And I was just so happy to have that validation because like I got a lot of pushback. And I mentioned that before in my breastfeeding journey. I got a lot of pushback on co-sleeping with my daughters. But personally, I just felt like that was all I could do. That was all I could do to breastfeed them and stay consistent with that. And then to sleep and to not fall asleep while I was breastfeeding them in a dangerous way. Because there was an incident where I did fall asleep and, my family was concerned. And so I was like, I don't know what else to do. I have to sleep with them. So I put a camping mattress on the ground, which, was comfy enough for me to lay on. Of course, it's comfy enough for the girls. And that's how I slept for a long period of time. And it just worked. That's what allowed me to get through those early days as a twin mom and just nursing them and being so I was so dedicated and locked in to do that. And I was going to do whatever was necessary to breastfeed them. So, and then of course, just the pressures to have it all together, to know exactly what you're doing, but you're a first time mom. And not only are you a first time mom, for me, I was a first time mom, the pressure of having it all together, the pressure of mom instincts kicking in and all these different things. But honestly, for those of you that weren't first time moms or your multiples or what have you, and who have had multiple kids in general, please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. You never have it all together. So that pressure is so real, but it's so unrealistic. It's such an unrealistic pressure to put on people because through each stage, one, nobody's kids are the same. Everyone's children are different. So you cannot give 100% accurate advice on raising someone else's child. You don't know that child, you don't know the ins and outs of that child, you don't live with that child, and you can only give perspective from your lived experience. But your child is different from my child. So I respect everyone's advice, but everything has to really be taken with a grain of salt because my child is different than yours. And so that pressure is just, it's really frustrating. I appreciate people's concern in things, but it's just frustrating. And to know exactly how to be a mom is just, no one does. If you're a first time mom of a 20-year-old, 30-year-old, whatever, first time grandma, like it's just always ever changing, just like life is ever changing. And so that pressure is just, I just want to kick it out the door because why do we have that pressure? Why do we put that pressure on parents to have it all together when they're doing everything for the first time? Even if they have multiple children, when their firstborn gets to a certain age, that's the first time they're experiencing that through life. And anyway, that's just a little blip on that. I did want to talk about bounce back culture. And I recently saw a clip on Instagram. I'm probably not gonna be able to find it, so I'm not gonna be able to put it in, but it was like a reaction to a reaction. And this female fitness influencer was reacting to a man talking about how the only reason why you can't bounce back is if you have like a serious medical condition. And she was like, one, you're a man. You have never had children. You do not know the ins and outs of having children in regard to hormone fluctuations. And just also, you don't even know what the birthing experience was. For me, in regard to that, I didn't realize, especially after having a C section, there's just so much that happens to your body. It's such an invasive surgery. And then, of course, having children, that is also a radical experience, and your body as first time moms, it's the first time that your body is dealing with this, so your body is also trying to adjust accordingly. you know i I, of course, I want to get back, get my body back together, and I want to be a hot mama, but I also had to give myself grace. And I still experience pain to this day. My daughters are almost 22 months, and I still experience pain in my abdomen. When I first started working out, I was dealing with incontinence, and just some things are embarrassing, some things you don't want to talk about. For also because I was nursing, I had to eat a certain amount in order to maintain my milk supply. And it was like, I've had people say, oh, well, I'm losing weight breastfeeding. Well, good for you. Unfortunately, I'm not. It it sucks because then you're human and you compare yourself to other people. I wish that my body snatched back right away, but in my case it didn't happen, and I'm having to put a lot of effort into losing my postpartum weight. I was dealing with a lot of pain in my joints and just different things that unmotivate you to go and work out, but it's also a motivator because you know that if you work out, when you work out, that pain will go away. So it's like you're experiencing this pain, but then you have to go through pain in order to get rid of the pain. And you're just like, ah! But luckily I've been, tackling that hurdle, and I am losing weight and things like that. So I'm happy about that. But you're just anyway, moving on. So I kind of looked at it of like, in a way, mourning my old body. And now I'm just finding a way to love my new body. And of course, I am thankful that my body was able to carry my girls, deliver healthy babies, feed my babies, and do the things that I wanted my body to do. So I am trying to be thankful for my body, and I'm always preaching this, practicing gratitude, because my body did amazing things, and I'm grateful for my body. That helps me to not be so hard on myself. This main episode for me is just to share how I've been able to kind of find my way back, finding myself again after having twins. Because as twin moms, most of you, I'm sure, are twin moms listening, or moms of multiples listening to this. The demand on you is so high in the beginning. Caring to two newborns, multiple beyond twins, newborns. It's just so demanding in the beginning. And it's so easy to get lost in just trying to survive and just trying to make sure that they get fed and make sure, you're nurturing or caring for one that's crying. And then now the other one's crying. It's just so demanding on you. Once they started sleeping through the night, which was around like 15 months, was when I was really able to think clearly and even consider things that were about me at that point. So it did take a lot of time for me to kind of get to a point where I was like, okay, Kaylee, who are you now? What do you want now? What is going to make you happy now? And the first thing was I wanted to start moving my body. I was so tired. I was in a lot of pain. It hurt to get down on the floor, especially at this time. The babies were walking, but they weren't as mobile. And just throughout your baby's being laying down before they start walking and stuff like that in these early stages, getting down on the floor, walking up and down my stairs, I really noticed the pain that I was experiencing. So the first thing that I went about doing was working out. If you don't know, working out, moving your body is going to help with stress levels. It's going to help with clarity of mind, and it's going to help with energy. So I just felt that getting back in the gym, moving my body, going on more walks and stuff like that was the best bet at that point, like the best starting point for me, because that was going to give me the most return on my time. And once I did that consistently I started in May because they were like 15 so months, 16 months, or yeah, 15 months, something like that. Wait, 16 months. Anyway, May, I know it was May. So May, June, July. So it took 2 months to tell myself I can now do my podcast. And I actually, a little context, I actually had decided to start a podcast in January. I wanted to do that. And the name wasn't the best. And like I said, the girls weren't sleeping through the night yet. And it just seemed like something that I wanted, but I didn't really know how I was going to make that happen. So I did a lot of planning around it, and I put the ideas that like rushed on me down on paper. If you don't use OneNote, this is unsolicited, but it really helps to organize your thoughts electronically, and then you'll never lose them. So like if you wrote them down on paper and possibly something happened to that notebook, I love OneNote because it keeps all my things. So that's just a tip. It's like an electronic 5-star notebook, but instead of 5 stars, or instead of 5 tabs, you have an unlimited amount. So anyway, I jotted down a lot of my ideas. I got them all down, all of them. I got them all down, and I just put a pin in it. I put a pin in it. It wasn't the right time, but at least I got those ideas down. So then fast forward, I started working out. I was consistent. I've been consistent, but I was being consistent, and I worked that into my schedule. And I was like, okay, this is solid in my routine. And I was able to find that time to incorporate the podcast. So that's when it started in July. And the podcast makes me so happy. It's something outside of being proud of mundane daily tasks that are just normal things like cleaning up, doing chores, maintaining the household. It's something that's solely mine. And I love talking about it. I love meeting new moms. It is therapy for me. And I hope also it helps other women. So just the idea of it not only helping me, but helping others, it just really brings me a lot of joy. And I'm so excited. I'm excited for the vision that I have for the podcast. I'm excited for all the things that I have planned. I'm excited for the comments that I'm getting from people. It has really helped me find myself again. I am an entrepreneur at heart, but I love to talk. And it's just a perfect harmony of me. It's business, of course. There's a business aspect of this, but then it's the joy of connecting with people, talking, sharing what I know, researching to share more of what I'm learning, but then you can't know everything. So allowing people to come and share. And it's just been amazing. And I hope y'all are enjoying what I am bringing because there's so much more to come. And yeah, I'm just so excited. The whole point of all this is just to remind you that there is a season for everything. I saw this comedian talking about how stop telling people that you can't have it all. And it's not that you can't have it all, is that you have to choose when you can do certain things. So no, you can't have it all at the same time. You know, there is times if you want to have children, then there is a time where it is solely about them. And I would say, I would argue that that is in that newborn phase because they they need you. They need you always there. And especially if you weren't doing something that you want to do before you had those newborns, then that will take a back seat until you balance out what you have going on with your family. And then when you find an opening, you can incorporate something new and then incorporate something new when things open up and things like that. So I just feel like saying you can have it all is more of an umbrella term of throughout your life, the goals that you have, you can achieve. It's just, it might not be in the timeline that you thought. It might not all be right now. But honestly, I just feel like what I'm learning is planning. It's so nice. I've always been the type of person prior to this to just jump and do something. When I built my bus, I honestly just jumped and did it. I was talking to my friend. It was on a Sunday. I decided with her because we were trying to like brainstorm what I could do with my business with it being COVID time and things like that. And people were already asking for mobile services. It was like I've seen people turn buses into homes. I could totally turn it into a studio. I had that discussion on Sunday, and then boom, on Tuesday, I bought it. And then 2 weeks later, I picked it up and I hit the ground running. But there was not a lot of planning. Clearly, it was only 2 weeks, 2 days in buying it, and then 2 weeks of time picking it up and then getting started. And there was so much money wasted because there was no plan. There was no real budgeting and just different things, all the ins and outs that go along with starting anything. I'm so grateful that having children slowed me down because I got all my ideas out in January. I talked to a few people about it and they had such a positive reaction to me wanting to do a podcast. Being able to sleep on it for months, continue to say, is this something I really want to do? 6 months later, yes, it is. I was able to go back, look at my notes, and I feel it was a much better start because I had time to resonate on those ideas, really grow those ideas. And the name that I was starting with in the beginning was not a great name. I'm glad that I took time to have a better name. Everything was perfect because I was able to slow down. So sometimes also in life, I do feel like you need to slow down, take your time because nothing worth having comes easy or quickly. Nothing. You're nothing, just sit on that. Nothing worth having comes easy or quickly. You really want to take the time on things that really matter and that are really important to plan them out, really think on them, and then execute. So I'm just glad that I learned that. And I feel like becoming a mom taught me that it's better to take a little bit more time to do things, make it right. And now I'm not saying to sit in analysis paralysis. I don't think 6 months was that long of a time to start my podcast. Some may argue that it was a long time. I don't know, but I think it was the perfect time for me. And you kind of also have to judge that. But my point is, like, okay, yeah, back to analysis paralysis. You don't want to get caught up too long. You do definitely want to start, but there is a healthy timeline of plan and prep. I'm going to leave it at that. So at the end of all this, I just want to encourage you to find what makes you feel full and ready to give. You have to pour into yourself with something. For me, it was my podcast. For you, it could be different. For you, it could just be being able to leave the house and go get, your nails done every other week, or, to be able to leave the house and go read a book in peace. Or there could be different ways to fill your cup. For me, like I said, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and working on something, building something really makes me happy. This is what I decided to do to fill my cup. It is a balance. It is a healthy balance. And I do recommend getting your calendar out, electronic calendar or paper calendar. I recommend an electronic calendar for like an overall breakdown of your time, and then using a paper calendar. After that, I learned that tip in the Time Saving Mom. I love being able to kind of put my most important things in my timetable, like even my sleep, in my Google Calendar. And then from there, I kind of play around with my time on a paper calendar just so I can kind of see it, if that makes sense. But I definitely recommend figuring out what type of time that you have to know the type of activities you can incorporate. Because Of course, our children are our number one priority. So life does have to work around them. But if you choose to be wise with your time, you can do the things that you want to do. And you do have the time to do the things that you want to do and still eat well, work out, and get enough sleep. I still get enough sleep. Sometimes, life hits or an interview goes long or things like that. But for the most part, I do sleep, I do exercise, I do eat well. And I will say for me to eat well, I do supplement. I use protein supplements. Okay, so I'm a crunchy mom and I do make sure, well, I try to always make sure that the things I'm consuming don't have any additives or preservatives or chemicals or things like that. So I was so, so happy to be able to find Lineage and Paul Saladino because he educates me on things that I thought were healthy, but really aren't great choices and how to find alternative choices. So I love Lineage Provisions. I honestly use all of their products, but my main ones is their protein supplement, their creatine, and the collagen. The collagen has grown my nails strong and long, and I've always wanted just natural, long, healthy nails. I used to be so jealous of girls in school who had just like beautiful, long, natural nails because I feel like if your nails are like nice and natural and long, you don't necessarily, in my opinion, need to polish them and stuff all the time because it gives it like that natural French tip. I just like to, do a manicure, clean up my cuticles and stuff, and then boom, you're good to go. Sometimes I like to add a little color, but I'd like the option of not needing it because they already look really nice. My hair, I was straightening my hair a lot and I put color on it and I was like, oh, it's probably going to be damaged. My curl pattern probably is, man, I don't know if it's, I believe it's the trio, you know, the creatine, the protein has organ meat in it. So not only is it giving you your protein, but it has a lot of micronutrients. So I don't like to not think about that. Like, I don't like to attest all of my results to just the collagen. I do take all of that, but I noticed the difference in my hair, skin, and nails once I added in the collagen. I was taking a different one, but like I said, there was fillers and things in it. And then when I started taking one that was 100% bovine nose to tail, which is the Lineage, I like looked down one day and I was like, oh, my nails. And they would like, of course I do stuff randomly. They'll randomly break and I'm like, they grow back right away. Like I barely noticed. I'm like, they're already grown back. So that's just a little blip of how I am, just paying attention to my health and things because I love that. And that has really helped with also my self care. I look at that as my self care because in order to lose weight, you have to up your protein intake. We are all learning that. All the fitness people are telling us that you have to up your protein intake. But I definitely want to have something that not only gives my protein, but it's nice to get those extra micronutrients. And I do believe it is the only one on the market that I have found with the least amount of calories. So it only is 90 calories for 20 grams of protein. So it's really nice to get that protein in with a lower calorie count. And then the collagen is the highest collagen protein count that I have found with 15 grams of protein. So with just one scoop of each of those a day, I'm boosting by 35 grams of protein. So, you know, just a little tip. All right. So as I end this, please follow me at Kaylee Berlini on all social media platforms so that we can stay connected. Definitely follow the podcast at Mothering Holistically on Instagram and Facebook. This is when you will find all the sneak peeks, all the guest announcements, anything in regard to the podcast, of course, is going to be there. And then tag us, hashtag Mothering Holistically podcast. If you are a mom of multiples, because we're all in this together, we're a community. Of course, moms in general are all welcome. It's just that this month is specifically all of us have multiples. So definitely tag us. I'd love to hear from you. And if you like this episode and feel that it resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up by clicking that like button. And if you feel this episode could encourage someone, or if you have a friend of multiples, definitely send this to them. And also subscribe while hitting that notification bell to never miss a weekly episode. All episodes come out 6 a.m. on Saturdays, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And on the first Saturday of every month, I do introduce the monthly theme. So definitely look forward to those solo episodes. So until next time, remember to mother holistically and thrive authentically. I'm your host, Kaylee Berlini, and together we're winning. Bye, y'all.